Guys, welcome to the channel. I'm Jimmy, and today we're going to be looking at, or I'm going to be telling about my tournament experience at Warhammer World this previous weekend. So, without further ado, let's get on with it. So I travelled down on the Friday and spent most of the day going around the exhibition hall, and then I had one practice game against a friend, which was not really exciting because it was Necrons versus Necrons. But funnily enough, it did turn into a pretty decent game. We ended up playing Scars of Victory from the Maelstrom of War, and it was a comfortable win for myself. I'll cycle through a couple of pictures. Playing Necrons versus Necrons, it was very easy for me to prioritise my targets that I needed. I was able to whittle down his forces, even though it was quite a lot of firepower going into said forces. But I was able to play quite well. There was one moment where Paul, my opponent, did make a mistake. He jumped his Satan Shard and his Catacomb Command Badge into range of one of my units and failed to kill him in combat. Totally fluffed his rolls. I think he went up against my Tomb Blades, and as a result that crippled him. I was able to put in my Destroyers, my Doomsday Ark and my Tomb Blades into his Catacomb Command Badge, almost getting Slay the Warlord. I was able then to just pip down the Satan Shard down to a couple of wounds, and I was able to kill it pretty comfortably. In the end, I think it came to probably about 13 victory points to 10, something along those lines. I had Line Breaker, I had Slay the Warlord. I'm pretty sure I got first strike by killing a unit of Destroyers, and he failed to do that. So I got all the secondaries, and I kind of got lucky with a few of the cards that I drew. Same with him, he drew some pretty good cards. But in the Scars of Battle we played, I rolled a 1, so I lost all the Necron-based cards. He rolled a 2, unfortunately, so he couldn't secure any of the objectives, so that really played a down part on him. But he was able to defend a couple and score a few victory points that way. But yeah, overall it was a fun day and a great start to the weekend for myself on one victory. But again, it was just a practice game. So now on to game 1 proper. So just before we start, I will say that I'm not going to go through my list. My list is in a previous video, so if you'd like to click on the icon up here, and I even go through a few of my tactics that I was planning on using. So yeah, feel free to check that out and then come back to this video. So funnily enough, for my first game, I actually played somebody that I went down with, my friend Will. We were meant to play each other on the Friday night as our practice game, but he and the other fellow that we came with, a fellow named Jim, ended up being like 2 hours late, I believe. So instead, that's why I played my first practice game. So, moving on. So Will's army is a beautifully painted Mordian army, to be honest. He had 2 Hellhounds, a Basilisk, 3 Chimeras, 3 Lehman Rust Punishers, one of those being a tank commander, 6 infantry squads, 3 of them to go into the Chimeras, a las cannon team, a command squad with a company commander, a second company commander and a Lord Commissar, and a platoon commander with a unit of veterans with melter guns, and I believe he gave him the blade, I can't remember exactly what it was called, but the ones that allow them to outflank, and in an astropath and a tech priest. So we played the mission Tactical Crusade. So I ended up getting the first turn because I set up first, but Will was able to seize the initiative. He moved up his Chimeras and his Hellhounds up forward. He even advanced his Lehman Russes a little bit forward to try and get his Punisher Gatling cannons in range. And then he opened up his entire army pretty much just on my Destroyers. But unfortunately for him, because they were sat in cover, they had a 2-up save, and he only managed to kill 4 of them, so he didn't get first strike. And then that was pretty much his first turn, to be honest. He didn't really do much, but he was able to score 2 of his cards because we were able to pick the cards. So he picked one, I think he was already on objective 3 and objective 1, something along those lines. So he was able to score those. I picked mine. I think I picked something like secure 2 and 4, and I was pretty close to those objectives, so I was able to move on to them. And then in my first turn, I just put all my fire, and I fluffed pretty badly with my Doomsday Axe, into one of his Lehman Rust Punishers, able to kill it. I was able to score my cards, and as a result, I was able to go into a lead in turn 1 at 3-2. Will's turn 2, he was able to kill my destroyers, and he got really lucky with the amount of shots they managed to roll with his punishers onto my immortals. He was able to wipe out both sets of immortals, and he was able to achieve a couple more cards, bringing the game to 3-4 in Will, well, 4-3 in Will's favour. I was able to kill a Chimera, and enough to score 2 more victory points, taking the game to 5-4. So Will's turn 3. He moved up again, got his guys out of Chimeras, all that sort of thing. He was able to kill all of my Necron warriors in one go, and that's about 34 Necron warriors, which is no easy task, but hats off to him, he was able to do it. He was able to score a few more victory points as well that turn, a few defends that he had, a few other minor cards, and as a result was able to score about 6 victory points in one turn, taking the game up to 10-5 in his favour. My turn 3, I veiled darkness across the board with my Tomb Blades at the back, and we just moved up my Doomsday Arcs close to like his Lord Commissar. This turn for me was quite bad in the sense of the cards I drew. Couldn't score anything majorly. I think the best one I had was kill a character in close combat, which I was able to do in the combat phase with my Cryptek with his Canoptic Cloak, jumping forward into his company commander, I believe, and I was able to kill him in combat, thankfully. He was left on 1 wound, and with the Cryptek only having 1 attack, I was able to hit and to wound. And with the -2, he rolled for a 5-up invuln, failed it. I was able to cut him down, and actually, funnily enough, managed to score a victory point in that. I was able to score a few additional victory points here and there, and by the end of turn 3, the game was 10-8 to Will. So turn 4 came round, and I will bring up the cards now on screen. Will was able to draw all of these cards, and as a result, he just spent the entire turn pretty much concentrating all his firepower into my Doomsday Arcs, eventually killing one of them. And again, he just moved a few things around, and he was able to score 5 out of those 6 cards for 6 victory points. Sorry. So he took the game then to 16-8. My turn 4, with a depleted force. I think I had like one Doomsday Arc left, no troops on the board, maybe a character here and there, but very little. Again, the cards I drew really didn't go in my favour. It was stuff that I couldn't achieve, like defend or secure objective 1, which was on the other side of the board. So for my turn 4, I failed to score anything, but I did kill a few Chimeras and the men next to me with some lucky shooting. So then it went into turn 5. Will was aiming to kill off my Doomsday Arc and my Cryptek, which he was able to do, taking the game up to 20-8. I failed to score again because of the cards that I had previous to me, and then we rolled off to see if the game would end. I had 4 objective cards still left, so I ended up losing a victory point as a result of that, taking the final score to Will 20 and me 6. So it wasn't a great start to day 1, having lost my first game and a blowout victory as well. I can't really complain. He was able to score some pretty high victory points in turns, I think it was 3 and 4, just taking the game kind of out of reach, especially with the cards that I drew on turns 4 and 5. So yeah, first game unfortunately went in for a loss, but I didn't let that bring me down. I just went up into into game 2 with my head held high. For game 2, I played a guy named Barry, and he had his Imperial Fists. So in his list, he had what looks like I think it was a Land Raider with some, I don't know the variant of Land Raider. I've even had a look to see if I can find it. I can't seem to find it anywhere. So if anybody knows what it is, tell me in the comments below. But as for its weapon, it just seems to be like a heavy bolter that shot about 24 shots or something daft. Probably not even that. It just had a lot of weight of firepower, but that was essentially it. Next, he had a stalker. He had 3 bikers. He had 3 units of scout squads. So 2 squads with a camo cloaks and sniper rifles, and then another unit that he had that was just bog standard, I think, bolt pistols and combat knives. He had a unit of stern guard, a devastator squad with all las cannons. He had his captain, banner guy, apothecary, a librarian, 2 thunderfire cannons, 3 centurions with, I believe it was the heavy bolters in the chest he went for, and las cannons on the arms, and 2 tech priests who man the thunderfire cannons. So this game type was Visions of Victory, the ones where you draw 2 cards and your opponent picks. So in this game we did just literally mess about with each other, in the sense of we just never gave each other the ones that were possible to score. I kind of got lucky and I was able to pick my deployment zone, and I managed to put myself down in a deployment zone which had 3 objective markers, so we played the long lengthways. So I set up my guys, he set up his guys, and then we went into turn 1. So his turn 1, he pretty much everything that was in range of my destroyers, he was able just to shoot everything that he possibly could into my destroyers, killing them. So I think he put his devastator squad into him, his centurions with his las cannons, even the land raider with its stupid amount of shots was in range, the stalk was in range, the thunderfire cannons were in range, and they took a hell of a punishment. And really, I should have used a command reroll on one of them where I had a regular save and I failed it, and I killed him off and I put him to one side, and I was like, damn it, I could have done that to deny him first strike, but I didn't. So he ended up scoring just first strike. He wasn't able to achieve any of the cards. I think I gave him advance and something along the lines of behind enemy lines, and he even said at the beginning of the game that he was going to be a static gun line, more or less. So anything that came up like secure objective 5 or secure objective 6, which were in my deployment zones, I just kept feeding him with those. So my turn 1, I moved up a little bit. I was able to shoot pretty much everything into his scouts that was in range, killing both units of scouts, scoring first strike for myself. Turn 2, again, because he was more or less a static gun line, he just moved up the odd little thing. He was able to kill my Tomb Blades though with the Land Raider eventually, and I think the Centurions put a few last cannon shots into him, so he was able to kill those. And then the Thunderfire cannons were able to heavily wound one of my Doomsday Arcs. My turn 2, I moved up. I think I was able to kill his Stalker. I think that was by it actually, just the Stalker. I think I was able to kill that turn. Again, the game was still on 1 apiece. On Barry's turn 3, he was able to kill my Doomsday Arc, and he just, anywhere that he could pepper my guys with just small arms fire, he was able to do, killing like the odd Immortal or Warrior, but not enough to hurt me. I was able to bring back a few with reanimation protocols anyway. So for my next turn, I was able to move my guys up a bit closer. I was able to finally kill his bite squad, which he moved way too close into range for me. I think he moved within 12 inches of a big blob of warriors, so I was able to get me -2 on there. I was veiled up right next to a stern guard as well, within 12 inches, so again like 34 shots at -2 were going into them as well. I was able to kill a stern guard. Doomsday Arc or something took like the occasional wound off of, I think it's a Centurion, because I rolled really badly. The other one was able to kill a Thunderfire cannon or something along those lines. So in his turn 4, he elected just to pretty much shoot everything he possibly could into the warrior squad that jumped forward to try and deny me line breaker. I think this was the first turn I was actually able to score a couple of victory points. I think it went to like 3-1. I think that's because I had like defend objective 5 or something, and I was able just to sit on it. And then on turn 4, I drew advance, so I just advanced everything out of my area, and I think I got something like one of the secures, because he thought I was too far away, but I was able to just about get to it. So I was able to advance to score, and I was able to kill the remainder of the scouts with the camo cloaks that were just sort of situated in the middle of the board, not really doing anything. His turn 5, he moved up again slightly, shooting my Doomsday Ark with his Centurions, taking 4 wounds off of it. He then targeted my Immortals with the bolters on his Centurions as well, managing to kill them. And then he just shot everything else into my Doomsday Ark that was heavily wounded and was able to kill it. In my turn, again, I just moved up, shot what I could. I was able to kill the las cannon squad of the Devastators with my Immortals. Again, I was able to score like 1 or 2 points because of, I think one of them was like kill a unit or something. I was able to do it. So by the end of turn 5, it was 5-1 to myself. We rolled to see if the game continued, which it did. His Land Raider, this is where I thought he would have gone to go get Linebreaker, as he was really close to doing so, but he chose not to. He came back on himself to take a few pot shots at my warriors. Saying to my warriors, he was able to shoot into my Immortals and killing them. And then on my turn 6, I just moved forward to sort of grab Linebreaker and just shot anything that I could into his champion that was behind his Devastator squads. So then we rolled to see if it continued. It did not. It ended. So in the end, it went a victory to the Necrons at 6-1. Game 3, I was 1 victory, 1 loss. Up next, I was up against a Tau player. The one army that I didn't really want to play was Tau because of the amount of firepower that they can pump out. But I ended up going up against one, and he ended up getting a brigade in there with a super heavy detachment. So his list was Shadow Sun, a Cadre Fireblade with the Pure Tide engram chip, another Cadre Fireblade, 4 strike teams, and 2 breacher teams. His elite was 1 fire sight marksman and 3 hazard suits. His fast attack was 3 lots of tactical drones, so 4 marker light drones and 1 shield drone. His heavy support were the broadsides of the high yield missile pods and the smart missile pods as well. He had like 1 seeker on each. And his Lord of War was the Storm Surge with shield generator, velocity tracker, 2 burst cannons, pulse driver cannon, cluster missile pods, 4 destroyer missiles, and 2 smart missile systems. Now my pictures here don't really do his army justice. He did look really nice on the tabletop. And yeah, let's move on to turn 1. So, turn 1, I advanced all my warriors up. I moved my Tomb Blades on the right hand side of the board. I took my destroyers and went on the left hand side of the board to go secure objective 3. I was just out of range of doing that. I then managed to shoot my Tomb Blades into a unit of his Fire Warriors, killing them, and which scored me first strike. And then one of the cards I also drew that turn was Area Denial. Both agreed that it was in play. So I rolled on the D3 because he was outside of 12 inches, with it being the first turn. And I rolled a 5, scoring 3 points. So my turn 1 ended on 4 points, so I can't complain. Carl moved his Fire Warriors forward into the building, more or less in the centre. He marked up my Tomb Blades with 5 marker lights, and on my warriors he marked up on 3. He put pretty much all his firepower into my Tomb Blades and my warrior blob. He was able to he was able to kill just 1 Tomb Blade and wound another one. And he was able to kill 9 warriors, but he failed to score first strike. So it ended turn 1 4-0 to me. My turn 2, I was able to get up and secure the objectives that I needed. I moved forward with everybody else. On my reanimation protocol, 6 of the warriors and the Tomb Blade got back up. The Tomb Blades, I then focused, because I know how to play against Tau, you've just got to take out the drones. I just pumped everything I could into a couple of drone squads, killing several drones. My Doomsday Ark killed the fire warriors that were inside the building. And my big mass blob of guys in the middle were able to kill a few more fire warriors and drones that they were in range with. I was able to secure a couple more victory points, taking the game to 6-0 to me. Carl's turn 2, he moved his fire warriors onto objective 6 to secure it. He brought down his hazard suits around my big blob, but out of like 32 shots he got with the burst cannons, he only hit with 12. But he was able to, funnily enough, kill 11 of them. He also shot his whole army at the Tomb Blades, finally killing them. And the hazard suits were able to kill the warriors as well, because they were able to kill the last 11 of the squad or something like that. I scored defend objective 3 and 5, so I got 4 points in his turn. He was able to secure objective 6. I was able to get 4 points. So the game, by the end of turn 2, was 10-1 to me. Turn 3 is when I got aggressive. I moved as far up the board as I could. I moved up my big blob of guys, killed a load of drones, killed one of his hazard suits. My Doomsday Ark and Destroyers wiped out a good chunk of his Fire Warriors, because that's all they were in range of. So Carl's turn 3, he was able to shoot and kill a Doomsday Ark and damage the other one. He targeted my Immortals, killing 4. And he was able to jump on a few objectives as well, so he ended up taking the game to 11-3, as I was able to score a card in his turn as well. I can't remember for the life of me which card it was. Turn 4, I moved into his deployment zone. I was able to kill the remaining Hazard Suit and Fireblade, Cadre Fireblade. I scored Supremacy and behind enemy lines, taking the game to 13-3. And I had Defend Objective 4 and 2 almost in my grasp. Carl's turn 4, he shot everything into my destroyers, killing them and taking out my Doomsday Ark and 5 Tesla Immortals. He scored Hold the Line to make the game 13-4, but I was able to defend objectives 4 and 2, taking the game to 17-4 in my favour. My turn 5, I jumped forward with Veil of Darkness to score Linebreaker. I was able to score 3 more victory points. I can't remember for the life of me what they were. Taking the game to 20-4. And then on Carl's turn 5, he killed all my Immortals and Cryptek to deny Linebreaker. But ultimately, the game ended finishing 21 to me. So, at the end of day 1, I was going into it with 2 wins and a loss. If you've watched my showcase, I was saying I wanted to go in there with a minimum of 2 wins, and I managed to achieve that on day 1, so I'm quite happy with that. So yeah, on to day 2 and game 4. So, day 2, game 4 was against Michael in his Death Guard, and because it was early in the morning, we lost an hour's sleep thanks to daylight savings time. I forgot to take pictures of this game. I did get a few pictures at the start of the game, but for the rest of the game I didn't. But moving on to his actual army list, he had 3 bloat drones with the flamers and 1 with like a blight launcher or something along those lines. He had a Hellbrute with las cannons. He had the little flamer boy that can spew out either a really big flame or a very small flame. He had another guy, but I can't remember what he does in the army, but he is a character. He had 5 Terminators and a Terminator Lord to go with him, but it was just a normal Chaos Lord, so no disgusting resilience, thank God, because that is just so irritating. He also had a Sorcerer. He also had another Chaos Lord outside of Terminator armor, which was his Warlord. He had, I think it was something like 11 or 12 Poxwalkers, and then 2 units of 10 Plague Marines. Now, this army even said and admitted, and I agreed with him, is just so anti, meta tournament, it's untrue. But the fact that it has disgusting resilience meant that we had 2 resistant armies going against each other, and it turned out to be one hell of a game. And let's start talking about it now. So again, I got the first turn in this game as well. I moved my big blob of guys forward into the centre of the board, or as close to the centre of the board as I could, because we're Necrons, we'll move 5 inches. I shot everything that was in range of a Death Guard unit. I managed to kill 8 of them, but failed to kill the last 2. And I was able to put a few wounds, like 5 wounds and 4 wounds in 2 of the bloat drones, but not enough to really cripple his army. And as a result, I failed to score first turn, so I didn't score all in that turn, which, going back to game 1 when I was against Will, not scoring in a turn really hurts. Same with what happened with Carl and Barry in the previous games where they failed to score. So I was just like, oh man. But he moved on to Mike's first turn. He drew some pretty poor cards, so quite annoyingly he ended up, we were playing strategic gamble, should I say. He was able to trade 2 of the cards in for 1 card, and his 1 card that he could score 2 points on was secure objective 1. And lo and behold, he had troops sat on objective 1 to begin with, or he had a couple of characters, something ridiculous on objective 1, meaning he was pretty much guaranteed those 2 points at the end of his first turn. He was able to shoot a few more things into my Doomsday Ark. I think it was the last cannon from the Hellbrute and whatnot. And he only did some minor damage onto it. I think he pipped off the odd warrior here and there. Didn't cause my lines too many issues. So yeah, at the end of turn 1, it was 2-0 to Michael. Turn 2 to me, I was able to finish off those 2 Plague Marines. I would kill the Dreadnought. I killed the Bloat Drone. And luckily for me, I had a couple of D3 objectives, which I think was kill multiple units, and kill up to 3 units, scored D3, and there was another one that was scored D3, and I rolled for 5 victory points. He got defend objective 1, which he had as well, so the game went to 5-4 in my favour. Michael's turn 2 comes, and he drops his Terminators behind my lines. He shoots a lot into the Doomsday Ark, crippling it. He's able to assault another Doomsday Ark, killing it, which exploded. He then assaulted my Cryptek with a bloat drone, but I was able to kill the bloat drone. But he was able to secure 2 D3s because he gambled again. And it was, I can't remember what the card was, but he was able to achieve it. So in strategic gamble, it's worth 2 of that amount. And how we read into that was, well, he would score a D3, so he would score 2 D3. So he rolled 2 D3, and he was able to score, I believe it was 5 points, like I had achieved the previous turn. So the game went to 9-5 in his favour. Turn 3, I moved over to get the threat of the Terminators at the back of the board. I shot a load into there, and I was able to score 3 victory points in the game as well, taking it up to 10-8. But then Mike managed to secure one of his cards, which was pass a load of disgusting resilient rolls. So in the end, it ended up being 11-5. Mike's turn 3 moves up to take on my Doomsday Ark, which ended up killing, and he goes up towards my Immortals as well, which he was able to kill. In my turn 4, I'm able to move up, and I was able to kill his Warlord this turn and a couple of characters, and I managed to take the game to 12-11. And then I didn't really write much down after this because it was so intense. It was such a close game. But we had the Terminators on my side of the board with a big blob of men round him. He also had we had like a bloat drone in there. I was able to kill the bloat drone, which exploded, taking a couple of wounds off of his Terminators and killed a couple of my Immortals. My destroyers were able to go up around the back of the board. My Tomb Blades came back in to take pot shots up at the Terminators if they left. Oh no, went up to go kill the bloat drone. And then I Veiled of Darkness, the unit of warriors up onto the back of the board. I can't remember if this was my turn 4 or 5. But I did it to secure Linebreaker, and then I just unleashed into his Poxwalkers, hoping to kill them off. So turn 5 came around, and he literally had 1 Terminator left, 4 Poxwalkers left, and he ran behind my lines, and the game was at 15 all at this point. But he was able to secure that line breaker, and as a result, it went to 16-15. We rolled, or I rolled, to see if the game would continue. I rolled a 2. So it was just one of those things where the game eventually ended on 16-15 to Mike. We had a look at what cards I would have drawn and what he would have drawn next turn, and the ones that I had, I could have all achieved. The ones that he looked at, he couldn't achieve because he had like 4 Poxwalkers that were nowhere near an objective. It was just one of these things that what ifs and buts. I played a really good game, hence a game why I barely took any notes towards the end because I was just concentrating. He only managed to kill my 2 Doomsday Arcs, and I think my dead pile might have been like 2 or 3 Immortals and about 5 Warriors. But it was just that Terminator at the back of the board which did it for him, otherwise the game would have been a draw. But hats off to him. He even said that every game up until then he had won by a point. So his game 1 he won by a point, game 2 he won by a point, game 3 he won by a point, and now game 4 won by a point. So yeah, hats off to him. Great opponent to play, and yeah, it was also his army was nominated for best painted as well. So if you go onto the Warhammer World Facebook page, if you have access to Facebook, I recommend looking at that weekend and having a look through the armies that were nominated, and yeah, you'll see his Death Guard on there. They were beautifully painted as well. Like my pictures that I have of him just really don't do him justice. So anyway, we were 2 for 2 at that point. So going into game 5, the final game, there was all to play for to try and get that 3rd win. So game 5 came round and I played Christian from Spain. So him and a group of friends came all the way over from southwest Spain or something, maybe southeast Spain. I can't remember exactly whereabouts in Spain he said he was from. But he took a list and I took one look at it and I thought, oh my god, I'm going to have a rough time here. He had the Knight Gallant, I believe, the one that's the close combat one. He had the Adeptus Custodes, 3 captains on the bikes. He had 30 Primaris Marines, the new scouts, the Eliminator scouts from the Shadow Spear box set. He had a Librarian in the Phobos armor as well. He had a Captain in the Phobos armor. He had a Vindicar Assassin. What else did he have? I think that was about it. And I just took one look at this list and I thought, oh, bloody hell, here we go. Here we go. This is going to be a tough nut to crack. So from the get-go, I was like, right, I'm just going to concentrate on the cards I draw. I'm going to try and kill his stuff, but I'm going to try and get those points early. So hopefully I can rack up a massive lead before I got to kill a knight or get killed by the knights, etc., etc. And it was just, it was a pain in the ass. But anyway, turn 1. So my turn 1, I had a couple of secure cards, so I was able to secure them objectives. But as well, I went for first strike. I put all my firepower I possibly could into a unit of Primaris Marines, and I put like my 2 big Doomsday Arc cannons into them. Everybody that was in range that could fire went straight into them. My Tomb Blades went into them. Everybody I could possibly think of went into them. Oh, funny story, I ended up staying on the same table, so I ended up playing on, I think it was table 20 in game 4. The exact same table. That's why the terrain looks the same, because I was on the same table. So yeah, at the end of my turn 1, I was able to kill that unit. I was able to get those secures, and as a result, I scored 3 victory points. Christian, on his turn 1, charged up the board with his knight and his bikers. His Primaris Marines and everything else pretty much stayed still. His Vindicare shot into one of my Cryptex, killing him instantly. His other snipers shot into my Warlord, taking 2 wounds off of him. Oh no, actually, tell a lie, he actually killed my Warlord, but I was able to use a stratagem to bring him back on a 4+ at the end of the shooting phase, which I did. Thank God, he came back alive, and then I was able to came back on 1 wound. My next turn, he was able to get living metal at least. Then he ran into combat into my destroyers with the knight, and he was able to kill all the destroyers in combat. He charged both my destroyers and my Doomsday Ark, but how he rolled really well. He rolled like a 10 or something to get in, so he was able to move all the way around my guys, and then with his 3-inch piling was able to get in range of the Doomsday Ark. He killed all the destroyers, and then took like 10 wounds off the Doomsday Ark, using like 3 command points to do so. He ran through his command points by, I think, the end of turn 2 or something ridiculous. Yeah, God. And then he managed to score 4 points, so he was able to get first strike. He had, I think, like a secure one of his objectives, and then another one was like, I think something like kill something in the fight phase. It was ridiculous, but everything went his way turn 1. My turn 2, my Tesla Immortals moved up. In fact, everything still moved up in one big blob. Oh, come to think of it as well, back in his turn 1, he failed both charges with his not shield captains. Or are the shield captains? The captains on the bikes for the custodies. He failed both of them. He needed a 5 to get in, and rolled, I think, a 3 on his first one into my Tomb Blades, and then I think like a 4 or something on his second one. And all he needed was 5 to get in. So yeah, very unlucky with that one. But then his other Warlord came in behind his Gallant. So yeah, that would kind of play a pivotal role for like future turns. So my turn 2, I moved up his blob, got as close as I could to his Warlord, which was one of the bikers. I moved my Tomb Blades behind his captains. I shot my crippled Doomsday Ark now into his knight. I shot my uncrippled one into his knight, pipping off a few wounds. I put My Will Be Done on my Tesla Immortals, and thank God I did that. And I used the stratagem as well for the Mephrit ones, so like 6s generate extra shots. So I rolled like my 20 shots onto his knight, so my Teslas were shooting his knight. I was able to hit, I think I only missed with like 2 of them, so like 18 hits went through, and then I had something like 8 6s, which generated like 8 extra shots, which then they generated several more 6s, which granted me the extra 2 hits. So I had like 8 extra 2 hits, so that was like 16. I then, because My Will Be Done was on them, 5s explode as well. I rolled like 6 5s or something ridiculous. So in the end, I think I ended up having about 50 odd shots hit this knight. And then I rolled to wound, and again, even though it was 5s to wound, I think I did something like nearly 30 wounds onto his knight. And then I think his knight were on something like 15 wounds remaining or something stupid. And he rolled, and it was left on 1 wound. He failed like 14 armor saves. Because at this point as well, Mephrit, I was -1, so he was on a 4-up save. So yeah, I just took it all the way down to 1 wound, and he just looked and started cursing in Spanish. It was quite amusing. And then I put all my remaining firepower then into the knight, which I was able to do. The knight exploded, taking a couple more wounds off of my already damaged Doomsday Ark, killing a couple of warriors. I I think that actually killed my warlord. I think, funnily enough, no, took my warlord down to 1 wound. Sorry, because he rolled really badly on my warlord. Killed a couple of my Tesla immortals. Took 3 wounds off of his captain, and then when I noticed his captain was down to like 4 wounds or something stupid, I took my Tomb Blades and fired everything into his warlord, taking him down to 2 wounds remaining. And then I was like, right, that's it. I'm just going to have to charge him with my warlord, the Tomb Blades, and my immortals. I've just got to get this guy dead. I think I'd scour the skies and kill a character or something. So I went in there, ended up chopping down his warlord with my warlord. The first time I think I managed to use the Void Reaper weapon as well. So I'm not paid for the upgrade, but I got the artifact, hit him on 2s, wounded him on 2s. He didn't have the vehicle special keyword, so it was 2s to wound. Hit, wounded, he rolled, failed one of his invuln. It was a flat 3 damage. He has like a 6 up feel no pain, and rolled and failed all 3 of them, killing him. And I was just like, oh, thank God for that. I've got rid of one of these shield captains, or what the hell they're bloody called. Got rid of his knight. My turn 2. I was like, okay, I can go on. I can win this now. So I was able to score a few points, and it turned the game into 6-4 to me. So Chris's turn 2, he was able to kill my immortals and my warlord. He just pumped everything he possibly could into them. He even asked, can you get back up? I said, no, you can only use that once per turn. He even got into combat with my Tomb Blades, but failed to do anything. So we ended up scoring just 1 point for Slay the Warlord. My turn 3, I was able to kill his captains on bikes and a Primaris squad. Yeah, shooting like all my warriors into his captain. I scored 2 points for securing objective 2 and assassinate. So took the game to 8-7 after Christian scored 2 points or 2 victory points for defend objective 4 with his snipers. Chris's turn 3, he shot at my Tomb Blades, killing 5 of them. He then charged the final one and killed it in combat. He also charged my warrior blob to stop him from shooting next turn. So the game, after the victory points had been tallied up, was still 10-8 to me. So we're going into turn 4 with me with the lead. My turn 4, I went for as many victory points as I could on the cards that I drew, but in the end I actually failed to score anything. So the game was still on 10-8, but I did have defend objective 6 on the way. He was able to score 2 in his turn, which took it from 10-8 to 10-10. But then because I had defend objective 6, it went to 12-10. As well, in his turn, I was able to score another victory point for another card I drew, and I can't remember which card it was. So actually went up to 13-12, something along those lines. Yeah, again, at this point in the tournament, I was just so bogged down on concentrating, like, oh my God, I've got to make sure that I play every right move here. So got on to turn 5. Again, I was able to score just 1 victory point. Here we go. This is the 1 victory point I was able to score, which took the game to 13-12. I can't even remember what happened in turn 5. My mind is such a blur. Let's think what happened. I think I shot the remainder of his Primaris. That was it. I went for secure objective 5. And I failed my advance by 1 inch. So I think I needed a 3 on the dice and I rolled a 2. So my guys only moved 7 inch and they were like 3.5 inches away from objective 5, which means I couldn't get on it. I did have my Doomsday Arc on it, but he also had a captain next to it, so they kind of cancelled each other out. He went for secure objective 3 in his 5th turn, which was just down from my Doomsday Arc. What else did he do? He also got something else, and I can't remember what it was. He had a secure, and then he had one which was something like, it won't kill a unit. Oh, that was Master of the Warp. He got Master of the Warp, and he just went, oh, I'll do Smite. Done. Right, there's me 2 points. So that took the game from 13 victory points to 14 victory points. And then he also got another victory point for something else, and I can't remember what it was. But again, it was really easy for him to achieve. So on turn 5, it was 13-15 to Christian. I thought, oh my god, here we go, here we go. So going back to game 4, I was like, right, okay, I need this game to go to turn 6 for me to win it. We just had an announcement, there were like 15 or 10 minutes left or something. And then he rolled, and he rolled a 6. So the game continued. I was able then to jump and secure objective 5. I got rid of one of the other things that I had, which I think was like killer flight. No, I achieved killer flight. Something really pointless. So I got rid of it. Drew another one, which was like another secure. So I was able to jump onto that. So I was able to secure and defend objective 5. And then I got line breaker. So at the end of turn 6, he didn't even bother with his turn 6. He drew his cards. I'm like, yeah, I can't win. I've got like one captain left because I was able to kill his librarian with my Doomsday Arc. Oh, in fact, I was able to kill his captain with my Doomsday Arc. I fired all my Ghost Flayers into his librarian. He was only on like 1 wound remaining, so it killed him off. So in the end, all he had was his 3 eliminators on top and his Vindicar Assassin just sat there. I scored line breaker because in turn 1 of the game, which I forgot to mention, I took a unit of my my Gorse Immortals with the Cryptek up into the back of the board next to a unit of his Primaris, but out of sight and out of line of sight and everything of the rest of his army. So after they spent like 4 turns shooting into his Primaris and them 2 returning fire, because I was able to get back up, in the end I think I had like 10 Immortals just sat on objective 1, and I managed to score that, fun enough, partway through the game. So yeah, at the end of it, turn 6, I won on 17 to 15 points, and as a result I managed to score 3 wins and 2 losses, 1 really close loss and 1 blowout. But overall, I was happy with the weekend. Overall, I finished 37 out of 97 places. So I finished in like the middle section where I wanted to be. If you've watched my Army Showcase video, I wanted to go with 3 to 2 wins, and I managed to achieve that. I could have probably got a 4th win on my 4th game had the game gone on to turn 6, but that's life, these things happen. But yeah, overall I was happy with how this list even played out. It doesn't have as much movability in it that I thought. Like most of the time the warrior blob was stuck in the centre of the board, but I think it was quite intimidating to my opponents, having a look at it and be like, geez, I've got like 54 guys to get through. And then I deployed the Veil of Darkness late on in game as well, like turn 3 or turn 4, to jump forward and pretty much secure myself line breaker. By this point, I think most armies I managed to kill most of the big guns, having scored around about 800 to over 1,000 points destroyed per game. So yeah, and then looking at my final scorecard, if you will, I scored 18 total game score. So that's my 3 victories, which are 3 points apiece. I got 2 favourite game votes and 2 favourite army votes. Taking my final GV score to 30. I was able to get Slay the Warlord twice. I was able to get Line Breaker 4 times, and I was able to get First Strike 4 times. Taking my total secondaries up to 10. And the points values of enemies destroyed, I managed to kill 5,445. And full enough, the person below this, Paul Braddock, the guy that I went with, who I had my practice game with on the Friday, he again did really well himself. He actually went into this weekend thinking he wouldn't win any games, so the fact that we both finished next to each other was quite amusing when this got posted online. So thanks for watching. I hope you've enjoyed. It's the first time of doing this sort of format, so if you've enjoyed it, please let me know in the comments below. 89 Club, you know exactly what to type down in the comments. So yeah, thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe, and I will see you on the next one. Goodbye.